Hello and welcome to 110 Yards. I'm Coach Aaron Page, a Canadian coaching American football in Denmark. Today I'm speaking with a good friend of mine, Gerard Johnson. Um, I met him when he was in Kuopio, and he's a uh, elite running back that has graced the stage in Europe. And he was a amazing guy to watch play. So welcome, Gerard. How are you on this nice afternoon in Virginia?
I'm good. Appreciate you having me here, bro. Trying to stay in this warm apartment. It's cold as I don't know what outside. So for the most part, just chilling, man, relaxing, trying to stay alive.
Yeah, I hear you. Now, so I said we met in Finland. What'd you think of the weather there when you first got there? I mean, you were in Sweden as well. So how are those Swedish and Finnish winters when you first arrive? Kicking off the season.
So when I first going back to my first year in Europe, I was in Sweden 2018. I got there during a pretty cold part. I got there about early March. So it was still cold. It was still snowing. So um, it was cold, man. It was a different type of cold. A cold that I've never experienced in the States and whatnot. But that was different. Fun fact. I had got frostbite in both big toes my first year. So I was out of practice for like a whole week because I couldn't really push off or anything because both of my big toes were purple.
Oh man, that's
Yeah,
not good. And
nah.
yeah, so I mean, I'm in Denmark right now, and I thought it would be the same, but wherever they're situated, based on weather and stuff that's way above my understanding, that it doesn't get that. It's around 0 degrees Celsius ish, so that'd be like 32 Fahrenheit. So it's not that bad. Um, yeah, so Sweden, you were in Gothenburg. Am I saying that correctly?
I guess you can say some people say Gothenburg, some people say Gothenburg, however you say it.
Yeah,
Because I think in their language, you spell it a little different. So
yeah. And this isn't your first time on a podcast. You did one when you were with the Steelers. They have their own. Um,
yeah.
you know, I was like, I've been doing a few of these now. That's how we got in touch. I said, you know what, you should jump on. But I always like find it, you know, hard to get the conversation flowing sometimes. Like I feel like I need to ask certain questions, but I just I like it to be more comfortable, and I get that vibe with you already.
I mean, yeah, you'd have been around me a pretty decent amount of time. I don't change, but so much.
Yeah,
Actually, I probably don't change at all. But you'd have been around me, man. You know how we get down. I'm pretty wide open with mine. So,
yeah.
hey,
Um, what brought you like to come to Europe? Because I know we talked about it a little bit, but going to college in the States. We can actually just start there. Like you were at Old Dominion, and then ended up going to Virginia State, right? Is that
no, I ended
Norfolk
up going to Norfolk
Norfolk
State.
State? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, don't put me with them blue and orange people, man.
Yeah,
No,
that's
I'm
my.
messing with you. No, my mom is alumni Virginia State, so I can't. I like to mess with them a little bit, but it's all love between both schools. But yeah, I went to Norfolk State.
Yeah, and we even found there was some connection. I had met a guy that had gone to Bethune Cookman, and you had played against him. Book, I had him on the
Yeah,
podcast
yeah, my
early in
man.
the days. Um, Now, what's like a lot of people don't understand the college system in the States, and Norfolk State, and but like schools like Bethune Cookman, I mentioned, are what's known as HBCUs. Um, was that a factor in sort of like you going to those schools as well? I know your mom was an alumni, but if you can tell people what HBCU means and what it means to you, playing at one of those schools.
All right, so pretty much a HBCU stands for Historical Black College Universities. Um, Originally, coming out of high school, I went to ODU. Not not based off of any type of HBCU or PWI, but I just wanted to be in the best position where I felt like would help me to take my game to the next level or make it to the next level as far as going professionally. Um, Things happen at ODU where I feel like I needed a fresh start. So that's when I decided to go to Norfolk State. But I would be lying to you if I told you Norfolk State was on the top of my list. Not because uh, it being a smaller school or anything. It's just when you're looking for a school, you want to make sure that at the end of the day, outside of the sports, if you're going to play sports, you want to make sure you're being taken care of. So outside of sports, I felt like Norfolk State was going to take care of me the best, only because I feel like the coach that I went over there and transferred with, I had a relationship with him prior to actually going to Norfolk State and actually prior to going to Old Dominion, and he's actually from the area where I went to high school at. But I felt like once I got on campus, I only went on campus once before I made my decision to go there, and it was just genuine love, and it was just like everyone. It Even to this day, we talk about it, we joke about it. People who graduate from Norfolk State, it's like you may not have known or liked somebody in the time when you were in school, but it's one big family. Like everybody, like I had a situation happen with one of my friends, and it was like everybody was involved. Like everybody was trying to find out what happened to him. Everybody was trying to find a way, like any way they can help. It was just that family atmosphere. A lot of people preach it, but a lot of people don't really actually go by it. And I feel like Norfolk State was like that family atmosphere outside of football was big. It was like even outside of football, I didn't have to be around my teammates that felt like I can be around somebody or I hang with people that were just students there, and it was still the same vibe as me hanging with my teammates. Obviously, you're out there playing football with them, so you have a different bond with them, but it was pretty much the same. Everyone, it's a family atmosphere. You get to know everybody. Professors care about you a lot there. Um, I just feel like HBCU just is more of a home atmosphere. So if you were to go to a family cookout or a family reunion or anything along those lines, that's kind of how it was at Norfolk State. It was fun. I enjoyed it. I felt like I grew up as a person there. Um, because a lot of things are set in place where some things might not be handed to you at Norfolk State versus at another school, but at the same time they're gonna make sure that you know how to get what you need,
Yeah,
and they make sure that after college you can be on your own and be successful.
yeah. That's really great to hear. And I obviously I don't have any sort of experience with HBCU and things like that. But and I want to kind of pose the question. There's some players in Europe that looking to go uh, to play college in the States, and there's some players in many countries, of African descent or black players in Europe. Do you think it's something they could consider to sort of see what it's like in the States to be at a school like this, where there's not a lot of black people in Europe, and to be sort of in an atmosphere where they feel comfortable like that.
I mean, I think people, sometimes sometimes don't look deeper into the story or deeper into the book. Sometimes we'll try to read the cover of the book or the back to try to figure out everything that goes on within the book. So sometimes I would say just going to visit and talking to the people outside of athletics. That's what anytime I would say a recruit, I tell all of my kids now, anytime you're planning on going on a college visit for athletics, don't just look at the athletic portion. Talk to the people outside of athletics. Talk about how regular campus life is, normal campus life. Do you feel like that's something that'll fit you? Uh, because whether it's a HBCU, PWI, or mid-major school, D1, D2, D3, whatever school it is, you want to make sure that outside of athletics, you have something to fall back on, or you can feel comfortable there. If one day you have a bad practice or you have a bad game, and you just want to have a getaway for a couple hours, or just get away from the football atmosphere, can you feel comfortable being on that campus doing so?
Mhm.
And if your answer is no, you don't feel like outside of football or outside of any sport you decide to go to college for, if you don't feel like you can be a regular person or just you can go around campus and feel comfortable being around everybody, I would say probably that school is not for you. And you can get that atmosphere anywhere. So
That's true. And that's a really good way to put it. And I feel like that can carry over to when guys like yourself or me are looking for teams in Europe, as for example. Did that go into your decision process? When you decided to go to Sweden ultimately, or in Finland with Kuopio, how did you sort of gauge? You can't really go on a visit, but how did you gauge that? From afar, so to speak.
and it's funny because someone asked someone asked me that before, like, how you even know you was gonna be hard over there?
Yeah, I mean,
And
it's a good question though, right?
it is though, it is because the truth is you don't know how it's gonna be. All you can judge off is doing your research further outside of what the coach or the GM is telling you, and just doing further research. For me, the biggest thing is I've been through the recruiting process before my first year in Europe. I've been through the recruiting process 3 times. Once coming out of, well, actually twice. So once coming out of high school and once when I was transferring. And I've seen it from the inside out. So it's like I kind of know certain terminology. I know how the game works. And recruiting is recruiting. But at the end of the day, I just want you to be real with me, being honest with me. And if I can feel that what you're telling me is the truth, like you're not sugarcoating anything. Tell me the negative parts as well as the positives. And that's how I decided my decision. It was like at the end of the day, I've never been to Sweden before I got there. So obviously they can be telling me one thing, or I can look up some, but I would never know until I get there. So at
Mm,
the end of the day, I was just mainly after my research and just talking with my family, mainly just prayer, making sure that you praying on the situation and making sure that someone's covering you while you're over there. And it ended up being a great situation, which that first year helped me to, better gauge for my second year because now I had a feel of how Europe operates. Obviously, I was in a different country, but for the most part, you can get a kind of feel of how, the Europe system works, how the competition is, how the people are. And it was I pretty much my first year pretty much helped me for my second year, and it was pretty good.
yeah, I have to agree. Like when my first stint was in Germany, and it's same thing. You can look up everything on Google. They can tell you what it's all about, and then you get there, and it's good, it's bad. Like for me, thankfully, it was a good experience. And then yeah, like you said, you gauge uh, that and what they've said to you and what you've been offered, and all that kind of stuff factors in. And then yeah, the decision gets easier the next time you go somewhere blind, sort of not having visited or seen. um, and yeah, you rely on some testimony from others, if they've been there before. um, and so yeah, like even when we met, you said you like people to keep it real with you. That's one thing I noticed about you, is there's no closeness, there's no, like, you're who you are around everybody. And you and I had a good relationship, whether it be at lunch or on the sideline, we talk in the game. That's one thing that I really appreciated about you, is you took some feedback, and you never really uh like made me feel like I wasn't offering anything. Or you said, yeah, hey, I noticed that too. Sometimes we talk about runs, and you're going, I remember this instance specifically. You were like, I'm trying to hit it up the middle to set myself up to get it outside. So that was really great, because we both sort of saw the same thing. I'm saying, hey, that outside's there now, and you were like, I know, I've been setting that up the whole time. I thought that was awesome. You know what I mean?
I mean, and off of what you said, um, I and I tell my kids that as well. I believe in being coachable. I don't feel like I'm above anybody. I feel like the way I was raised personally, um, I've never been raised to be, you can't listen. Everybody, you can learn something from anybody, whether that be me learning from a kid or me learning from someone who got 40 years plus above me. I feel like it's always places to learn. I feel like you can always pull something from anybody, no matter what the situation is. And with me and you, it was like, and for me, with any other coach, I want anybody to feel comfortable around me. I want everybody to, I'm a competitive person, but at the same time, me, a lot of people made mistake the competitiveness for me actually having fun with it. And if you go look at one of my highlight videos, we got our little thing when we jump up in the
Yeah.
air and all that. But it's just having fun and just and being in Europe away from family and all that. If you don't find the fun in it, you're gonna struggle with it because a lot of times it's hard to even describe to someone who's just going to Europe for the first time playing football over there. It would be hard for me to explain my experience because my experience might be different compared to whoever they're going to. As far as I can be 2 hours away in a different area, and another person could be like my friend that I grew up with, who was in Tampere,
Yeah.
and his experience was a little bit different. So I can't tell him how his experience is going to be. But at the same time, it's like I can say that if you don't go over there with an open mind and go over there with, keeping your competitive spirit and just understanding that at the end of the day, if it's not fun to you, you won't have fun anywhere, whether that's college, whether that's the NFL, CFL, Europe, whatever. If you don't find the fun in the game, you're gonna struggle at any level. So I just feel like for me, it was about having everyone else having fun around me. A lot of times I got on teammates because everyone was looking down, and the game wouldn't even be over. It's like, nah, we still here, and even if it's not over, at the end of the day, we still have to play. You still out here for a reason. So have fun with it.
Yeah, this is true. And yeah, I wanted to bring that up about us. So every time Gerard would score a touchdown, I don't know what one game it started, we looked at each other and I was like this, and then you jump up to basically hit shoulders, but see the problem is this guy's vertical. I can't jump higher than a $5 bill, like slip under my feet. So this guy, I'd be at his hip getting knocked over, but it was still good times. Um, so what are you doing now? You're talking about, you tell your kids now you're obviously coaching. What's going on with that? And what are you, position coach? What's your role with what team you're with?
so so right now I'm helping well I'm actually some people might say it's my rival high school, but in actuality I never got a chance to play them, so it wasn't my rivalry, it was the rivalry of the guys before that played against them. But I'm at a school called LC Bird High School in Richmond, Virginia. I'm the running backs coach, special teams coordinator, and strength and conditioning coach. My old high school coach is the head coach there. So after my first year coming back from Europe, he asked me did I want to come out there and help coach. So that's how I've been over there every year when I come back home and whatnot. I'm out there with those guys, but I love it. It's brought a different. I think coaching has brought a different aspect to my game. But me being a player, period, is you start seeing things from a different perspective, and you start obviously you grow a little bit more patience with you coaching, especially with you was coaching women, and
Yeah.
sometimes not saying that women can't play football because they were talented. It was very fun to watch the women play football because of how talented they were and how hard women go. I always said that women's sports sometimes can be more aggressive than men's sports. I don't know what it is, but women take it personal when
Yeah.
they're out there competing.
I just
But
had
I feel like
Essie on the other day, and you know what kind of player she was. She was
yeah, they are physical.
bullet heading for a target.
It's crazy, but so I felt like coaching just helped with patience and just seeing the game from a different perspective. I mean, I always felt like I always pride myself on being a guy who, I take a professional approach to um, how I do a lot of things. When it comes to playing or preparing for a game, even during the game, I always tend to take a professional approach because at the end of the day, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it as best as I can. But I want to make sure at all times I'm prepared. I hate being in a situation where I'm not prepared, and I feel like coaching has helped me prepare better because now, for example, if I'm trying to describe a situation or telling the kid how to do a certain drill or certain footwork or something, now I'm telling them from my mouth versus trying to show them as my feet. And I feel like you become a better coach whenever you can help a player become a better player without having to show them. You can
Mm.
basically just, break it down to them with your words and just using the correct terminology to help them understand it. So I feel like for me, it helped me with my game because now I'm telling him to do something. Now I'm realizing, like, dang, am I doing that the right way? So I'm telling my running backs coach, my running backs, I'm like, yeah, you got to work your footwork here and, press this hole. But now, and the whole time I'm thinking, like, dang, am I doing it the right way? So it's helping me seeing it from a better picture. And I'm starting to enjoy coaching.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you, like, so how does that make you feel, asking guys to do things and when you see it kind of come and they do it right and it works, the proper technique and they bust a nice run, how does that feel? And then on the other side of the coin, how does it feel, being a player, former player, and you're in control of what's going on and your competitive edge, you're having fun. How does it feel now that basically you have no control, you still have that competitive fire, and you have, you just have to live with what happens out there on the field? Like, what is that like to sort of lose that sense of it's not in your hands anymore? You've given them the tools and now it's up to them to use it, basically.
Well, to answer the first question, I it's not rewarding to me to see when a kid does something well after coaching them. It's rewarding for me. I feel like it's more rewarding to them. Like I tell my kids, I'm like, if you do something well, it's not from me coaching you that much better, or you just not being able to do something. Is I'm just helping tweaking things. I'm not changing you up. I'm not doing anything. I'm just help tweaking it. But to see that your words and how you're coaching the kid and them being able to take it and go with it makes me feel like I'm being a good teacher. So I don't look at it as a coach perspective because a lot of people can coach, but a lot of people can't teach.
Yes.
And I feel like I want to be the teaching person. I want to be able to, you know, if I was God forbid, if I was in a wheelchair, would I be able to still coach someone?
Right.
If God took something away from me, yet can I still coach this player? And I had a discussion with leading into the second question. I had a discussion with my old college coach. I talked to him occasionally, Coach Scott at Norfolk State. I asked him one day. I was like, "What can I do to get better as a coach, or how can I help? How can I get the kids to understand without me having to show them? Because I know eventually I'm not going to be able to go out there and run um, certain amount of routes a day and come back and be okay the next day.
Yeah.
So I want to eventually get to the point where I can do so without even having to go out there and move my body. And he was telling me, he said, the more and more you practice it, the more and more you just keep talking to him, it becomes a habit. So now I feel like now it's becoming a habit because now in my mind, I know I can still do certain things. I know I can still do everything that I'm coaching them to do, but at the same time, I'm not the one playing. So, and I tell them all the time, I can't do it for you. And a lot of coaches say that. They say it all the time, but it's true. It's very cliche, but it's very true.
Yeah, now
I
you
can't go out
know
there and
now
play.
you know what it's like to be on the other side of that coin, Yeah.
Yeah, it gets frustrating at times, but I think that's the beauty of part of coaching. It's just like if you're a player, you may get frustrated with what the defense may do or can't do, and you feel like you can do better, but you can't control it because you're not on defense. Vice versa, if I'm on defense and the offense is not doing well, I can't control that. So now if I can't control the situation, I got to control how I look at it. So
True.
now I can't control the situation of what my kids do, so I control the outcome of how I look at it. So now I'm looking at it from a perspective of a coach perspective and not as a player perspective because I can't do it.
Yeah, a good friend of mine, because I was having the same issue, sort of that frustration, and we were coaching together in Canada, and he said, "Look, man, Friday, we play Saturday, we play different days of the week in Canada in high school, but he's like, Friday is our walkthrough. After that, our job is done. We've done all we can, and then Saturday it's up to them to go do it. So at that point, other than calling the plays and doing my job, he's like, I'm just a fan, so I'm enjoying it and having fun in that regard, because it is out of your control. um, and I think for me in Finland, my downfall was not challenging the more veteran players enough. Like, it was great for the girls that were, or the women that were just new to the sport and stuff, but that's where I learned and reflected after that season was I need to challenge the players that know what's going on a little bit more and not rely on them so much to basically do their own thing. Which, sometimes coaches, at the high school level, you can kind of, with the vets, they don't necessarily let them do their own thing, but uh they get
Yeah.
more time to sort of, yeah, do their own thing, I guess, is the best words I can find. But do you know
Correct.
what I'm getting
No,
at?
I got you. I got you. And and me being over there in Finland and watching, coming to a couple of women's practices when y'all were coaching, I think that sent off a tip in my head as well. It was like trying to coach someone who really is not second in nature to them. For most men in the states, or if you play professionally or play college football, a lot of them been playing football for maybe 10 plus years. So
Mm,
it kind of becomes second in nature to them. Versus if you're coaching someone who maybe that might be their first year ever playing football, but with your experience, you feel like sometimes you may be ahead of what you're coaching. But at the same time, it's like I respect that. I respect the job, how y'all job was, because you were able to get some of the women who may not been more experienced, but end up getting them on the same page, and everybody is once you get it going like it's a whole operation, and that operation ran smooth, and you got it, you really can't find your weakest link unless you really point it out. I feel like that's when you're doing a great job, man. I feel like when coaching women's football, how y'all were doing, I felt like that was great coaching out there, to be able to get some people who maybe never done that before or don't have as much experience, and be able to get them to go out there and fly around with hitting each other and all that. It it was rewarding watching that, and I would, any chance I got to, I came to a women's game, because a lot of times women help you look at your game differently, because women are a little bit more detailed. Women, they
mm.
want to do everything right, versus men, sometimes we get hot-headed where we feel like, I done did this forever. This is easy. Versus women who are really gonna be detailed, they need everything, you know, they feel like they need everything right there in line, and they gonna pay if you tell them to do something, they're gonna do it.
Yeah.
But they're gonna do it the right technique is what you told them. And if you tell them something wrong, they're gonna do the wrong thing. But I feel like coaching women's sports is, I feel like I respect those coaches a lot, because women are really competitive, and to be able to get them to work together and have that thing going like that, it takes a lot.
Yeah, we had a few games where we were just, like, firing all cylinders. That one, against the Russian team that came up to the older field. Do you remember
Oh
that
yeah,
game?
yeah, yeah. I do remember that game.
That was, I mean, the running back had 280 yards on the ground. It was,
I think you had both running backs were getting that thing
yeah,
going.
but no, you're right, and like, it it was tough too, because, like, we were limited staff as well. But I mean, I'm not going to really drone on about that. But uh, when you're coaching running backs, this is something that I was interested in talking to you about, being a player. I've heard the saying, running back is the easiest position to play. Now, don't jump on me just yet, but the
No, no, you
hardest to
good.
coach. You know what I'm saying? Because what is it? You get the ball and then you run to space and you avoid, like, and you just basically, run to where you're not going to get tackled. And like, how do you coach a guy like to do that? Have good vision and know where you're supposed to go. There's little ways to do that, but I've struggled in coaching that position because I haven't played it. And I did very minorly at a younger age, but you know, what are you telling guys, and how did you get coached at the running back? Because it is a hard position to coach, in my opinion.
I think the worst thing, and this is my opinion, I'm not no expert at any cost, but I think the biggest thing is, and this based off of how I was coached and how I've seen people coach running backs at a high level. The biggest thing is you can't tell a running back how to run the ball. Like every running back is gonna have a different style. No running back is gonna be the same. You can't tell a running back how to run or where to run to. You have to let them see it. Now, the things I can correct you on is, making sure you're on your correct aiming points, on certain runs, protecting the quarterback. So now I'm helping you in pass protection, the technique and pass protection. We're doing footwork things, just things that help you while you're in space. But taking a handoff, it doesn't take much to work with somebody on how to take a handoff. It doesn't take much to tell somebody it's either you're going left or right. But when they get left or right, and then they get to, maybe the linebackers or the safeties or whoever is out there in space, or even in the hole, what are you telling them, or how are you helping them to get past them now? And that's where a lot of people struggle, is they try to focus so much on telling them, oh, you got to run here, you have to run there, you have to run here. Because think about it, a lot of times, and just me playing football as long as I have, and you seeing me play football in Europe that last year in Finland, a lot of times the play don't go how you think it's gonna go.
No.
So if you tell them where to run to, and then in their mind they're like, oh man, where they told me to run to is not open. So what do I do now? Now you have to be a football player. So I the guys that I'm coaching now, great group of kids, they've been playing football for a while. I'm not gonna tell them how to play running back. Like, it's just something like that. It's just, you've seen it, everybody's a running back once they had the ball in their hands.
Yeah.
So now all I'm doing is helping you when you do get the ball in your hands. Do you know what to do with it? And that's where I feel like the running back coach come in, is helping them to understand what to do with it once you get past, your lineman and all that. Once you get through the line, because I'm gonna tell you your aiming points, it don't take much. You can put anybody back there, running back, to just run to the line of scrimmage. But now once I get there and I have to make somebody miss, that's the biggest thing for me. Even when I'm doing personal training, I train my guys on open field stuff. So I just want to make sure at all times that they are prepared when they're getting open field. Because I'm a big scorer guy. I like scoring touchdowns.
Oh yeah.
I don't like seeing too much. If we got to get physical, we're gonna get physical. But at the same time, physical only take you so far if you don't score no points. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm on.
Yeah, and it's true. Like, you can't. I've never even attempted to tell a running back to how to run the ball, because they're going to do what they're going to do. But does it frustrate you sometimes as a back? Let's say you're being asked to run into like an 8-man box, and obviously there's, you know, you're outnumbered in the box, and they're like, what? Why can't you just make 8 guys, 2 guys miss and run 60 yards? Because sometimes coaches think that, a guy, you're 1 for 1 in the hole, but that guy's just better. Why not bring an extra blocker in, or what? What's it like being on that end of things when coaches demand a little bit too much of the running backs? Is basically where I'm getting at.
Um, and this may sound crazy. A lot of people may think, he just pulling one. But to me, I like that.
Yeah.
Because if to a certain extent, if you feel like I can make that play, then I should feel like I can make that play. Whether, I got to do some extra work or something like that, for a coach to get mad and ask that, he obviously feel like I can make that play or I have the ability to make that play. So what I'm gonna do, the next time I'm gonna find out everything possible. How can I, with an 8-man box and 5 blockers, how can I get past it? Like I don't think, like I said before, if you can't change the situation, change the way you look at it. So if
True.
I can't change that they're gonna stack the box, what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna change the way I approach the box. So now if I got to make that cut a little bit sooner or I got to get to the hole a little bit faster, do whatever I got to do, maybe I might have to set up 5 people versus 8 people. So I got 5 linemen. I know that my lineman going to get 5 people. Now it's going to be 3 extra people. Now, do I want to set those 3 people up to be on my weak side or do I want to set those 3 people up to, come and it's just football is moving so fast and the game is always you never know what's gonna happen on any play. So for me, I feel like if I'm out there and a coach is mad that I didn't make a certain play in a tough situation, I feel like, all right, now I got to go figure out how to make that play. And I'll tell it to a lot of young kids. It and sometimes my running backs be getting frustrated. They'll say the same things like this person was there, this person was that. But at the same time, it's like when you see those professional guys, the guys get to the pros, they don't get to the pros or you don't get to the highest level of football doing normal stuff.
True.
You don't get there being that guy that always he's only good when they have the right numbers in the box. They're good when they have the right numbers when you got 8 people in the box. Because last in my second in Finland, it was a lot of games where the box was stacked.
Yeah.
Like, it's either you gonna make this play or you not.
Yeah, that's true. And you played at a very high level when it comes to European football. Like Finland is arguably one of the best leagues in Europe. The Swedish league is very good as well. I mean, save the GFL. What was that like for you? Kind of we're going full circle here when you decided to come out to Europe. Was that something you looked for? You're like, I want to go to a league that's still competitive. You know, you were a superstar in those leagues still, but was that part of your like decision in coming to the Maple League?
Oh yeah, that was one of the biggest parts. I was offered a few other contracts from some other good teams, but the teams may be good, but maybe the 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 division or whatever conference or league it was may not have been as fully competitive. Like everyone may not have been as competitive. And for me, I feel like if I'm going to be playing a sport or if I'm going to be doing anything, I want to be the best at it. So how do you be the best? You compete against the best group of kids. So if I'm playing in one of the the smaller leagues in Europe and I'm dominating, I don't feel as good about it because like it's not the best. But in Finland, as you said, is one of the best leagues in Europe. You can dominate that. All right, now you could say something.
Yeah,
And granted, I don't toot my own horn and all that, but I'm just that was just how my competitive nature is. I don't, I don't play football to just go out there and run around on people. I would go out there to compete, to fulfill my competitive spirit. And that's one thing I loved about Finland. It was like every week you have to show up. It wasn't any weeks where we go out there and we like, all right, we're gonna definitely kill these people or we're gonna dominate these people. No, every week you have to show up. And the thing about that is now that I have to show up every week, what I have to do outside of that, I have to prepare every week. And preparing for a game and really breaking down the game, I that's one of the things that I love about football. Is just like it's almost like you're it's almost like you're gambling. Like you know that this might happen, but you don't know for a fact that it will. So I see this on film. This is what this team does. But at the same time, in the game, when them 11 on 11 get out there, somebody may mess up. Somebody may fall. The grass may come up and you might trip. Anything can happen. So it's
yeah,
like now outside of my game plan, now I still have to just be a football player.
yeah. I mean, and like even speaking of that, you got to uh, jump in at quarterback that one game. I just remembered, and unfortunately it was a loss, but I mean, and not due to the fact of you playing quarterback, but that was just, just showing how versatile of a player you are there, that, you could just step into that role and compete at that position at the highest league in Europe as well.
No, you can say I was me that we lost that game. No, me playing quarterback, it had nothing to do with. I don't think it had anything to do with me just being athletic. It just had everything to do with. I feel like if that's what I have to do to win the game, that's what I'm gonna try to do. Obviously, like you said, we lost, but and I take responsibility just because I played quarterback before I played running back. I played quarterback just about every year, so I was a quarterback first, and also just being a natural leader that I like to think that I am. I'll do anything that I can to help the team, and that's what a lot of guys they fail to realize when you're playing this game. It's 11 people involved,
Yeah.
so you need all 11 guys to make things happen. So me doing my 111, whether that had to be quarterback, running back, receiver, whatever it is, the case may be, as long as it's helping us win, I'm all for it.
Yeah, man. And, a couple more things before we wrap this up, but what was it like, your parents got to come out and see you play in
Yeah.
Finland. I don't know if they ever made it to Sweden or not, but what was that like, playing in front of them when your mom and dad got to come out and watch you play there?
I ain't gonna lie to you. That was probably out of all my years playing football since I was 5 years old. That was the you know probably the best experience I had, and not because my parents traveled just. I think they missed two college games out of 4 years. Like they was on a plane, they was traveling every week, but it's not the same as you having to come across the whole country or across the water and come see a game. So I felt like I couldn't let them down. Like it's not like college where I seen them or high school every week. I seen them just about every week. So it's like, all right, my parents will be at the next game. I'll do better for them next game.
Yeah.
It was like this might be the last time my parents can see me on a football field. So how do I want them to remember it? And it was I forgot what game was it. I'm not
Um,
sure exactly
was it the
what the
Crocodiles? What?
significance of. It was it was Tampa. It was
Oh
my
yeah, yeah.
friend's team.
That's true.
But
That's
I'm not
true.
sure what the occasion was. But my pops, he told me he said it before the game. He was joking around. My mom and pops are some of my biggest critics. They after a game, no matter how good I do, my mom you need to protect that ball better or something like
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah. I was
but
talking to her there. Yeah.
yeah, she's fully involved in football. But my pops was joking with me. He told me he was like, I need 4 touchdowns today. And I was like, I'm gonna try my best. And luckily I did get 4 touchdowns because I think that was probably one of the best games overall we had played as a team. We were hitting on all cylinders, offense, defense, special teams. It was just, and everyone was having fun. You could see the fun that everyone was having out there. But I think that was probably my best. That was probably the greatest experience I had playing football was having my parents come to another country to watch me play in a game where they might not ever see me play in person again. So that was a good memory.
Yeah, I when I met them, they were awesome, and they really showed the support, and I thought it was amazing that they had come out there and to see you play. And then your dad and I got along well because of our connection with with the forces and that. So
Yeah.
yeah. Um, okay, well, I always like to finish this off with a fun little question, and basically, if everything is defensive alignment, the way, everything's perfect. What is your favorite play for you to just, get the ball and hit it? Like what's your your favorite thing play wise, everything's aligned the way you want it.
Counter.
Counter?
I love counter. That's been my favorite play since high school. Whether it be I'm at quarterback or running back, I love counter. I'm not sure what it is about counter, but I feel like the patience in setting up counter, not everyone can do that. And a lot of people sometimes they might try to get to the hole too fast before your pullers can get around, or whatever the case may be. But I feel like the technique of that whole play, just the way everything is set up with that play with the pullers, you got your backside. If that backside cuts off like he's supposed to, I feel like that's a beautiful play, and we ran it a lot. We ran power, counter, and power. That's actually another one of my favorite plays too, because they pretty much set up almost the same. But
Yeah.
I love any I I don't know what it is about counter, but I think I fell in love with it in high school, probably because we scored on it a lot. But that's probably my favorite play.
You
That
know
and
what?
inside line.
Yeah, counter like you described it. You have the pullers coming, and there's just something about everything kind of looks a mess for a second because there's a free end, and then all of a sudden,
And then boom.
bam, and then
Yeah.
you're coming right off the guys behind and hitting the gap, and then your other, if you're following the second guy coming up to the backer, and then that's a nice hit, and by then it's too late.
Yeah, I love that play, man. I think that's probably one of the best run plays you could have made, man.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Gerard, it was really great to have you on here. I think we talked about a lot of cool stuff, and I look forward to seeing you again at some point, or I'll have to get down to Virginia, or we'll see what
Man, I
happens.
gotta get to Canada, man. Forget that. You gotta come here. I gotta get to Canada, man.
All right. But yeah, thanks for coming on.
And no problem. Thanks for having me.
All right.